my dear friend and colleague from the great state of New York, Congressman Israel.
I thank my distinguished friend and partner in this critically important project, and I thank her for her leadership on this legislation. I know that she has been so dedicated and so devoted to this cause. Mr. Speaker, on September 11th, the President of the United States spoke to the nation, and here's what he said. The American people have faced other grave crises in their history. With American courage, with American resolution, they will do no less today. I'm not talking about President Bush, who said those words on September 11th. Believe it or not, Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said those words on September 11th, 60 years before the attacks on our nation. Now, we have witnessed that resolution and that courage all around us since September 11th. We witness it almost every day in our own interactions with the rescue workers, with the first responders, with those who could have fled, gone in another direction, but instead showed up and said that they wanted to help. I know of an iron worker, Mr. Speaker. His name is John Sferrazzo. John Sferrazzo went to Ground Zero to help. He refused to leave. Today, John Sferrazzo's voice sounds like gravel. His breathing is labored. His chest hurts him. I know that my friend is well aware of John Sferrazzo. John Sferrazzo contracted some very serious medical problems at Ground Zero. He probably knew then that he would have these problems, but still he didn't leave. He stayed there. And as a result of his courage and his commitment, his resolution and his determination, today his breathing is labored. It's difficult for him to speak. And our obligation to John Sferrazzo is to make sure we take care of him, to monitor his health, to improve his quality of life, to take care of him, because when the time came, he was there to take care of us. I know of another worker, Mr. Speaker. I met him at a Ground Zero workers conference in my congressional district at the State University of New York at Farmingdale. I met him about a year ago. I was a speaker at that conference, and as I was leaving, he stopped me in the lobby. And this is what he said. He said, "Congressman, I'm not sure I'm going to be here next year." And I'm embarrassed to say, Mr. Speaker, that I thought he was saying that he wasn't sure he could attend the conference next year. And I said, "Well, I'm sure that you'll be able to come back." And he said, "No, you don't understand. I'm not sure I'm going to be alive next year," is what he said. He said, "What am I supposed to do with my family? Who's going to take care of them?" Now, it may sound melodramatic, Mr. Speaker, but these are real people. Can you imagine doing what you thought was the best thing that you could do, serving your country, serving your colleagues, going to Ground Zero, sacrificing yourself, and now you're not sure you're not going to be around in a year from now? What is our obligation to these people? Our obligation is to take care of them and to take care of their families. Our obligation is to make sure that they get the health care that they need. Our obligation is to let them know that we will not forget them. And I'll close by suggesting that next week, many of us in Congress will attend 9/11 ceremonies. I plan, after votes, to fly home and be at Comac High School in my district for a 9/11 vigil. We're going to light the candles, and we're going to talk about what a grievous day that was and our commitments to having a strong nation. But really, we should not think about these people just on 9/11. This should not be an anniversary commemoration. The legislation that the gentlewoman has introduced with my friends from New York will make sure that this is not just an annual commemoration, but that every single day those workers who were there on 9/11 at Ground Zero get the health care that they need, and that we are securing their future. We had faced a crisis that day, a national crisis. They face a crisis every day, a personal crisis, and it is up to us to help and to secure their future. I thank the gentlewoman again for her leadership, and I yield back the balance of my time.
I thank the gentleman for raising the issue of his two constituents with whom he's worked. It brings a personal face on the tragic horror that many people confront. And I also want to particularly commend him for his work on the Appropriations Committee. In addition to the comprehensive legislation that we are jointly putting in as a delegation, Mr. Israel and others on the Appropriations Committee have taken a lead in providing funding. And in recent months, because of his efforts and others, we have passed appropriations bills to make sure that federally financed 9/11 health clinics, including those run by Mount Sinai and the New York City Fire Department, do not have to shut their doors because of lack of funding. We included $50 million for 9/11 health clinics in the recent war supplemental spending measure and the House-passed labor HHS appropriations bill. This was done by Mr. Israel's committee. I mentioned a moment ago that this included another $50 million for 9/11 health needs. In the Senate version of the labor HHS bill, Senators Clinton and Schumer and others have gotten $55 million into the Senate bill. So when this appropriations bill gets signed into law, we in Congress will have provided at least $100 million for 9/11 health needs this year alone. This is a very good start. Thank you so much, Steve. And it is a testimony to the leadership not only of Steve, but of the two senators, our entire